Alright guys, welcome back to Pistonhead Productions. On today's episode, we are going to be working on my daily. Not something that I talk about too often, because in all honesty, I'm not a big fan of it. But this is a 2013 Fiesta that myself and my wife bought brand new in 2012. It's got about 180,000 K on it and shows every bit of it. I will say this car 100% has been neglected. We basically just drive it and beat the hell out of it. It's going to be paid off pretty soon, and we'll probably just continue to drive it and beat the hell out of it. Paid like $18,000 for it. Yeah, it's just kind of the workhorse of the family. As you can tell, it like, you know, rock chips and there's chunks missing out of that. Wow. I've tried keeping up on the scratches and stuff like that, but it's just not going to happen. But it's been neglected for a little while now and definitely needs a few things. It needs brakes all around, which I have. It's also got some mad clunking in the front end. That was actually just the hood. The strut, or the shocks in the back, hey look, I think I got it right this time, are completely shot. Hang on, let me see if I can. Yeah, like they're gone. Like I can hear clunking around in the back. So that's what I'm gonna be doing for a couple episodes here, just getting this thing back up in running order. I might sell it, I don't know. As much as I've had a lot of problems with this car and had a lot of issues, I will say that Ford has rectified all of the issues, the main thing being that transmission problem. The radio is broken in it, does not work whatsoever. Also, that's the manifold from that project. If you haven't seen that yet, check out our Suburban project. The other issue that I've got with it as well, that's my key. That is a piece of nail clipper that has been metal puttied to the thing, and there's the ignition that had to be drilled out. But it works, like it works pretty seamlessly. I still have no stereo, so that's something that's got to get fixed as well. So kind of on the list of things to do. It's going to be brakes and suspension, maybe fix the ignition lock if I want to sell it, and definitely stereo. Got a lot of driving coming up, so gonna need to get that stereo fixed. It's a bit of a pain in the ass driving around with headphones all the time. Also, I don't know if it's legal. Can you do that? I don't know. Anyway, so that's what I'm gonna do, but today we are going to be into the brakes, so let's get that going. Okay, so here is the rotor. It's down pretty good. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna replace it this time. The ridge is there, but it's not brutal. Like, I can feel it. There is some scoring in there, which leads me to believe that the pads are pretty much pooched. We'll find out when we take it off, but yeah, I'm just gonna throw pads on for now. I'll probably do the brakes after. The sky's getting kind of dark, so at least get this part done and then go from there. Well, definitely needed that pad change. There's pretty much none left. Probably waited a little longer than I should have, but it is what it is. So definitely gonna need to do rotors on the next one. This one's not too bad. I did the rotors last time I did the pads, so they're yeah. All right, well, time to push this back. If anybody's using this as a how-to, it's a 12mm bolt that goes in the top of the sliders. The sliders actually feel fairly good. I didn't end up having to put a socket on that side, although I think it's a 14 or 15 or something like that. Maybe I'll grab it before the end, but I just got to push this back. Oops, sorry, I got to push this back, and then slide the new pads in, lube them all up, and then move on to the other side. Nice and easy. Okay, so normally you want to use kind of a C-clamp, or they have tools for this. I'm in the process of putting my shop back together, and I don't know where it went. So I'm going to try something a little bit different. I'm going to use a pair of vice grips and just do right on the ridge here. If you can see that. I know this is not the best way to do it, but that's the way I kind of have to do it right now. I'm in too deep now to go back. So I'll try this. If it doesn't work, I'll see about something else. Okay, here's our brand new pads. They're super thick. Hopefully they'll last me a little while. Got the big vent down the middle. When you're putting these on, what you should do is clean everything off with brake cleaner first, and you're going to want to put grease in this part where the caliper actually meets, and you want to put it on these edges where it actually slides. So that is where Obviously do not put it in there. There's no need to put it on these edges. Anywhere it makes contact, basically, with the carrier or the caliper itself. So super quick tip on this particular car. In the top little shim here, there's a little piece of steel that sticks out to help retain the pad. You want to make sure you put in the top part of the pad first, and then you can slide the bottom in. So I was just struggling with that if you're wondering what I was doing. There we go, done and done. Nice bit of lube in there. Giant pain in the ass getting that back pad on, but seems to work, so move on to the other side. Well, put this side back together and then move on to the other side. Remember that whole, it might rain? Well, it's starting to fucking rain. So I'm gonna try and bomb through the rest of this as fast as I possibly can. Okay, fronts are all now wrapped up. This is a different day, just a heads up. So now we're gonna work on the rears. Once again, jack the car up, put it on a jack stand, don't be stupid. The rears on this Fiesta are drum brakes, so I will show you how to disassemble that piece of ancient technology. In my opinion, I think drum brakes are just terrible. I don't even know why they put them on modern cars, but that's just my unsolicited opinion. If you really want to listen to that, you can check out the Piston Head podcast and listen to me more ramble about things I hate. But anyways, so I'm going to take the wheel off, and then I'll show you a trick to getting the drum off if you've never done it before. Okay, so very rarely do these drums just kind of slide off. You can try prying in there to get it off a little bit. I usually recommend just give it a bit of a very, very gentle love tap all the way around. Try not to kind of bang on this surface, just because that's where the drum shoes are going to meet. And what this will do is kind of help break some of the rust free. You obviously don't want to go too nuts. If it still doesn't want to come loose, what you can do is there is a small bolt hole. Come on, focus. There's a small bolt hole right there. So I've kind of got my bin of trusty bolts, so I'll try figuring out what bolt that actually takes. And yeah, I'll leave a little dealy pop-up thing that tells you what bolt that is. You screw that bolt in, and that'll help force the whole thing off. You can also throw a little bit of lube on this. I think I'm actually out right now to help slide it off. Some penetrating lube works pretty well. Okay, finally came off. Did have the one retainer clip popped out, so I'll make sure to hang on to that. I believe I got a hardware kit for this. I hope I got a hardware kit for this. But anyways, this is what it's gonna look like. I recommend only doing one side at a time, because if you mess this up or forget the orientation, then you're gonna need to reference the other side. But that's pretty much what you're looking at. So we're gonna take the shoes off, which actually are still in really good shape, but I'm already here, so I might as well take them off. And yeah, start disassembling it. I absolutely hate doing this. The procedure you kind of want to follow is push these little pins in to pull this out, and then start pulling springs off. Make sure you remember where they go, and then hopefully you can remember how to put it all back together. Okay, brakes are off. The other thing that I need to do on this bad boy is replace the headlights. So headlights for the 2013 Fiesta are a H11B. Make sure you get the B, or you're not gonna get the right headlights. So we're looking at getting into these housings up here. If I remember correctly, this one's not too bad. This one kind of sucks because there's a fuse box in the way. I may have to take the actual headlight out. I can't remember. I'll try not to, but we'll see. So these are the bulbs that I picked up. They are Clear Vision Supreme. So it is not sponsored by them. I got these off Amazon. They were like 20 bucks. So they're probably just like cheapy knockoffs, but we'll see how they work. You know, they're headlights. What I do always recommend is anytime you're replacing the headlights, is keep the good one, and just in case one blows out. So here's what we got. They look pretty similar. I wonder if I bought the same ones last time. No, they look a little different. But the difference between, I believe the difference between the H11 and the H11Bs, the H11Bs have these side prongs as opposed to the end prongs. Another quick trick is to test the headlight before you put the cover back on, so we don't have to tear it back off again. But that one's in. It seems to be working. Time to get to the next one. So there we go. Headlights in. Nice. So this is our This is our good one. The other one is dead. It's just broken, so now I just gotta wait for brake parts to come in and then we can finish that part off. Okay, since my other camera is having some issues, here are the parts that you're gonna want for doing, tools, sorry, that you're gonna want. They do make a tool specifically for this, but good pair of needle nose pliers, just a regular pair of pliers, a socket, deep socket with a long extension, and some type of screwdriver with the V slot in it. So that is what we're gonna need to put these drum brakes back together. I'm not really looking forward to this. I don't really like dealing with drum brakes. Shh. I've helped today. Hi, Zoodle. Anyways, so I'll walk you through the process. Okay, so this is what we are going to be aiming for. I will film the other side because I had to work at this one first before I figured I'd teach you how to do it. This is the general idea. So as you can see, everything links up. And this is our auto adjuster, which I'm not sure if it was working because these pads don't even seem to be touched. Okay, so let's start this over again. You want to make sure everything is nice and cleaned off, any of the components that you have to reuse. That one's real greasy. And then we're going to take off e-brake cable, so slide the spring back, pull this out, take our new one, do the complete opposite, slide it over the enlarged part there, as such, pull the spring back, and slide that up as so. So that is our e-brake side and our non-e-brake side. What you want to remember is these little pins up here, that is where your little auto adjuster is going to sit, like that. Obviously not like that because it's covered in shmoo, but essentially that's how it's going to want to sit. Okay, so the black spring in your kit, you're going to want to hook up into this little slot at the very, very top, as such. That's where that one's going to go. And then we've got two other springs. You've got your red spring, which is for your auto adjuster, and your big burly white spring, which is for the bottom. This one we're going to put on in a little bit. But what we want to do is assemble the slack adjuster. You want to make sure this little washer bit is facing towards the inside, and it's going to sit in as so. And there's a little notch, if you can see that in there, where it's going to sit. So what I did for the last one is kind of assembled it just off to the side. So like that, long end of the spring towards the end of the adjuster. And then we're going to want to throw, once again, make sure that's all the way up, or else you'll never get your brakes on. Up like that. Throw our spring through. And then you want to loop it around like that. It's a little bit tight, but you can definitely do it. And then try and get it kind of up on top, like that. Alrighty. And then we're going to want our auto adjuster little arm piece. That is going to sit up on the little groove up here, and I will show you that when I change the camera angle. But there's a little tiny pin that is going to sit on, and then there's going to sit behind the arm on the adjuster, or on the little bar that comes across. And the reason for that is when you press the brakes, it will then help click it up a little bit, keeping it tight, keeping the drums in the proper tension. So it's a bit of a pain to get in there. Okay, so it sits in there like that. This is where our red spring comes in. There's a small hole on this. You want to loop it through on the adjuster first because that metal is a lot thinner and is in a much tighter spot. as so. And then we're gonna try and get it down to, there's an elongated slot on the bottom. So a couple ways you can do that. I am a big fan of needle nose. If you have a drum brake tool, obviously that is going to be your first and best bet. But if you're watching this, you probably don't have a drum brake tool. And this is where you get to watch me struggle for the next several minutes. There we go. In we go. Up as such. And now the bottom spring. This thing is monstrous. So what I recommend is pull the shoes forward a little bit, get the spring in there, find one edge, put it in, and then take your slotted screwdriver of some kind. There's a little notch down here at the bottom. And then you're gonna want to push and get that to click in. And now we can work on the top part. Same idea, work on one side. There we go. Mind my daughter yelling. But that's essentially how that's going to look. So there's our extended piece. There's where our adjuster is, and we'll move this back in a better position once we get everything pinned in. Now for the part of the job that I hate the absolute most, which is putting the little retainers in. I don't like this part because this is when things tend to like pop and explode. Essentially what you want to do is take your little retainer, slide the large end over first, then you've got this slotted end where you then have to push down and get that piece through. So there's a couple different ways you can do it. So like I said, there's a couple different ways you can do this. One way that I do it that seems to work fairly well, get it pretty much lined up, make sure your little pin is pretty flat on the back plate. Use your slotted end, put it in the little groove that's there, and push. And while you're doing that, try and twist the pin. It's kind of a pain. Even if you can get it twisted just a touch, then you should be able to get a pair of needle nose in there afterwards. So. And of course, the moment that I turn the camera off is when I get it. There we go. One done. On to the next one. Eventually. There we go. We're in. It's all good. So now we gotta try and make sure that the drum itself is gonna go on before we get too much further ahead. A little bit tight, but should go on. What you can do now is take that slack adjuster, get it up into the correct orientation as such, and we'll get this bad boy on. Gotta remember, this whole thing's gonna shift and move a little bit, so when it goes on, it doesn't seem like it wants to go on in the beginning. Take a look at your bolt holes, see how they're not lined up, and you want to try and just kind of wiggle them. There you go, just like that. So actually I'm going to take this off quick, put a little bit of brake grease in where the moving components are, and then slide that back on. We'll just toss this bad boy back on, and it should be good. See, it turns, getting a little bit of touching on the shoes, so that's good. It means we're kind of within our adjustment mark. So job well done. Throw the wheels on and we're pretty much there. Okay guys, well that's pretty much gonna do it for this episode on the Fiesta. I'm gonna throw the wheels back on, but when we come back on the next one, we're gonna hopefully fix the stereo, maybe put a new key in, because that toenail clipper kind of thing is a little weird. But this is just going to be a small kind of maintenance project, nothing too crazy. If you guys want to see all the crazy fun stuff, make sure to check out the Suburban project, and for sure make sure to check out the Drift Chicken project, which is right there. that one's pretty cool. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, hit the little notification bell. And I want to say a big thank you to everybody on Patreon. You guys are getting the benefits of seeing these videos early and getting extra podcast episodes. So new videos, I try and get them out every Monday and Friday. New podcast out every Wednesday. You can find the Piss and Head podcast anywhere you find podcasts, including on YouTube. I usually put them up on YouTube a couple weeks after. I like to get the downloads going and stuff like that. Nobody's going to watch the video. But anyways, guys, thanks again for watching, and we'll catch you next time.